Over the course of these few short weeks, Alysa Liu has skyrocketed from a relatively niche athlete in a niche sport to what might possibly be the future of women's figure skating and women's sports in general. Her victory in the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympics was nothing short of socially transcendent. In a sport dominated by a very high-class artistic aesthetic, for someone like Alysa Liu, a far more expressive and alternative person to bring home the gold, well, it's nothing short of revolutionary. I was entranced, but I couldn't really nail down why. Alysa Liu's victory encouraged me to take on a challenge of my own, to engage with something I wasn't familiar with and to learn a thing or two about this admittedly underrated sport that had seemingly taken the world by storm overnight. But where would I even begin? Disney is a company that needs no introduction, and so I won't be giving them one, instead bringing your attention to their premier streaming platform, Disney+. Since 2021, Disney Plus has forced itself to host a number of anime, some generally more popular than others. But in 2025, just 1 year ago at the time of writing this video, a series emerged that, while not really noteworthy back then, was about to get a lot more relevant, at least in concept. Medalist, premiering on January 5th, 2025, was a series I didn't really know how to feel about initially. Alysa Liu's Olympic victory inspired me to pick it up, but other than the sport the series was based on, I didn't have much of a reason to watch it, which put the show in a unique position in my eyes. I wanted to understand why Alysa's performance was so inspiring compared to other Olympic victories, and Medalist was going to be my gateway into the world of figure skating to find out. So without further ado, join me as we explore the first season of Medalist, analyzing its plot, characters, and how it presents the mechanics of figure skating, all with the ultimate goal of understanding Alysa Liu's performance and what made it so magnificent beyond its sport. Let's watch Medalist Season 1. Within your first few episodes of Medalist, you're going to pick up on two things about our two leads. For starters, Tsukasa Akeoraji is almost as energetic as he is broke, and Inori Yuitsuka is almost as adorable as she is talented. These two are going to be the center of our attention from now until the end of the series, and honestly, I don't mind. Tsukasa is your typical broke Japanese guy, admittedly more friendly than most, maybe with a bit of undiagnosed ADHD, but that could easily be mistaken for the mere passion of the sport of figure skating. The story follows him as he teaches Inori advanced figure skating, after convincing her reluctant mother to give her a chance. It's a very heartwarming story, and the series does a good job warming you up to these characters from the first episode. Inori is adorably hardworking and persistent in a way that's not uncommon in series protagonists, but played extremely straight and done extremely well here. Her affinity for collecting worms is an interesting but not distracting character quirk, and Tsukasa's fear of worms is a predictable but funny contrast between the two. It works well in its simplicity, and that's the name of the game for this show. Because of how simple the narrative is, however, it means that the playing field is a relatively blank canvas for the side characters, allowing for a wide variety of dynamics and rivalries to develop. Every child skater has a coach associated with them, generally some older skater from years past who serves as a foil in some way to Tsukasa himself. It's not just about the skaters, after all. The coaches are equally important because this is a story with two protagonists. Tsukasa has his fair share of rivals as well, whether it's Jun Yodaka, who is basically figure skating Sasuke, or the country-speaking Yudai, who single-handedly made me overjoyed that I chose to watch the show with Japanese audio. Every coach has their own style of teaching, and it generally complements their skater. You can tell that while Inori and Tsukasa are developing their bond, it's being tested against the bonds of the more experienced skaters that actually have had time to develop and solidify. But in a simple narrative such as this, isolated bonds and interactions are trivial. It's a sports anime, and judging it on those grounds, there has to be some sort of challenge to overcome in the narrative, something that forces these characters, no matter how interesting they are, to develop. Inori as a protagonist is a perfect fit for a story like this. It's almost tailored to her, but I don't think I could ever call it plot armor. Inori is talented, but Medalist is grounded, and it doesn't lose that realism for the sake of a power fantasy. Inori has to learn even if she learns quickly, and the story never loses that principle. Hikaru Kamisaki is the main rival of Season 1 of Medalist, and while the season doesn't end in her defeat, her interactions with Inori are significant to her development as a character. Think Seiden's first loss against Aomine in Kuroko no Basuke. A goalpost is established, and while Hikaru is admittedly a kind person, the inevitable showdown between her and Inori is always looming in the back of the audience's mind. This builds anticipation for what's to come, but where Medalist avoids the mistakes of its contemporaries is in the way it handles defeat and pushes development. Figure skating in Medalist is a form of competition and a form of expression simultaneously, and Inori is surprisingly mature about concepts such as defeat or hard work. She has a humble appreciation for where she is and a firm goal in mind that she's constantly fighting for, pushing herself to the physical limit constantly, not because she feels like she's owed anything, but because it's what she wants to take for herself. There's a scene in episode 9 where not only is Inori injured after giving her best performance up to that point, but she also faces her first genuine defeat in the series. In any other anime, this would be crushing for the protagonist. Inori would question if she even belongs or if it's even worth continuing, but instead, something else happens. Tsukasa speaks to Inori one-on-one after the tournament, informing her of her injury and calmly looking forward to the future. Inori does the same, not willing to let a minor mishap shake her resolve. And the next time we see the pair, 5 months after, Inori's developed significantly and has grown accustomed to the world of competition. Sports anime like this tend to operate in extremes, with really high ups and really low downs, but Medalist is more than comfortable playing in the middle, focusing on the improvement mindset of the characters, allowing them to take the hits in stride and continue pushing. And this doesn't just happen with Inori. Episode 5, the first major antagonist of the series, Mike, faces a crushing defeat. After an entire arc of us being led to dislike this character for her flaws, when she seems to be regressing in behavior, it's her coach that steps in and encourages her to continue as she was. This is not a show where these kids are blindly following their coaches like a JoJo stand, but instead a show where these kids are steadily finding their way within themselves, embracing both their flaws and strengths, and leaving it all on the ice for the sake of the competition. There's a multitude of emotional moments like this in Medalist, and as I watched, I was beginning to understand, if only a little bit, where the passion was coming from, though I'll admit, I was still missing something. One thing that I was still breaking down in my mind in an attempt to think critically, not just about the series, but about the sport of figure skating as a whole. I was finally beginning to understand the skating itself. Medalist is a series about figure skating, and in place of hyper-dramatic shifts and changes in the plot, skating mechanics are used as a mechanism for character development, oftentimes both physically and emotionally. Skating is life for these kids, and all of them put an insane amount of their personal time and value for themselves into this sport, which makes Inori in particular so interesting as a protagonist. The fear of failure is something that is discussed and explored over the course of Medalist's narrative. Inori is timid, and while she embraces failure, her biggest fear is that her failure will translate into a lack of belonging. Not especially good at academics or anything outside of skating, this is all she has, and as such, the stakes of the narrative come from her fight to belong. As she overcomes challenges and meets new rivals, there's a sense that she's making a name for herself within her circle. People recognize her skills and abilities, and she finds that confidence within herself, never allowing it to turn into arrogance, constantly striving until she's rewarded with success in and of itself. The pacing of the skating sequences in the anime is nothing short of expertly done. I don't really mind the CGI like other people do, as I don't feel like it takes away from the scenes in question. The internal monologue of the characters describing their thoughts in the middle of their performances are a nice touch, directly putting you in the heads of the characters without breaking pace, allowing you to feel the emotion of the performance with them, their changes in movements, their shifts in confidence. You feel it all, and it's a strength of figure skating that these emotions are even able to be expressed through their movements in the first place. As these characters learn the mechanics of the sport, they mature as people. They strengthen their ideology, living as themselves unapologetically both on and off the ice, fighting for their place and refusing to be left behind. And that's it. I feel like I finally get it, where the passion comes from. Alysa Liu's performance is transcendent because of what it represents for figure skating as a whole. It's not just sport, it's not just a play being run, but it's art. And ultimately, it's the culmination of what must have been years of effort, expenses, failures, struggles to learn even the simplest of Olympic mechanics, and yet she persevered, and even more so, she stayed herself. Alysa Liu is youthful and energetic, present in the moment to appreciate her accomplishments in what seems to be a sport designed to be as tough on you as possible. Ballet on ice, figure skating, where it's equal parts sport and art, Medalist is a series designed to show the struggle from a young age. Inori is not just fighting to be like the people she admires, blindly emulating those who came before her, but striving to become the first Inori Yuitsuka. Tsukasa is not just vicariously living through an 11-year-old girl to make up for his own failed dreams, but he's exerting himself himself and using his own special skills to set a new standard, to push a new generation forward that can be better than himself and his contemporaries, to give someone a chance to make a difference for themselves, to express themselves, and to leave it all on the ice, ultimately because that's what they live for. Alysa Liu's performance was generational because even in the aftermath of the process, Alysa Liu as a concept, as a person, persisted. My name is John Sage, and thanks for watching.